Welcome to Tech Intersect. I'm your host, Tanya Evans, and my life and work exist at the heart of law, business, and technology. Yeah, I've earned a few fancy titles and degrees over the years, but the bottom line is I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and lifelong learner, and I'm really excited that you've joined me on this journey. So what is Tech Intersect? Well, it's authentic, empowering conversations with really interesting guests who demystify complex topics to prepare you for the future. Because your future is now. And it exists where law, business, and tech intersect. Get ready to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the last episode of 2021. And in this episode of Tech Intersect, I welcome Sian Morson to the show. Now, Sian is the ultimate multi-hyphenate, a change agent, entrepreneur, best-selling author, and investor. And as an accomplished entrepreneur, Sian has founded 3 tech companies and has been at the forefront of technology for at least the past 15 years. In fact, in 2015, Sian was named one of 3 winners of the L'Oreal Women in Digital Award for her app Cast Beauty, and was the first Black woman to do so. She graduated from NYU's Tisch School of the Arts with a bachelor's degree in film and television, and also earned a master's degree in electronic art from Middlesex University in London. And currently, Sian is the Director of Strategy and Investments at the Starfish Accelerator, which is the first of its kind accelerator that invests in storytellers of color. And she is regularly called upon to speak about topics ranging from diversity to design and investing. And she's been featured globally in publications, including the Wall Street Journal, Marie Claire, Essence Magazine, and Fast Company. And she's also the publisher of the BlkChain, which is a weekly publication that focuses on where culture meets crypto and digital art, collectibles, and creating and investing in that space. So we talk about the NFT year in review, the opportunities for BIPOC and queer artists in the metaverse, and the most important stumbling blocks that artists and collectors and investors need to focus on in order to succeed in the future of creativity. Now, if you've tried to figure out crypto, DeFi, and NFTs on your own, in, YouTube University and podcast college, I invite you to visit advantageevans.com and really learn how to buy, store, and trade crypto and NFTs, and to access DeFi safely, legally, and confidently. Advantage Evans Academy offers everything from full-service VIP onboarding to prof-guided on-demand and cohort-based courses, as well as an engaging, informative, and very fun membership club, AE Explore Live, for as little as just $99 for a quarterly membership or $365 for a yearly membership. Yes, that is $1 a day. And if you use the code EXPLORE2022, that's EXPLORE2022, by New Year's Day 2022, pay just $20.20 to ring in the new year prepared for the new economy. When you join the club, you will transform your relationship with money, generate wealth in the new digital cash economy, create digital ownership streams of revenue that can lead to generational wealth, buy, store, vet, trade, earn, and sell cryptocurrencies, engage in DeFi to lend and to leverage your crypto, and create, buy, and trade creative and collectible NFTs. And we do all of that in a wonderful community of like-minded, lifelong learners ready to get in and win. So if that sounds like you, join us. Visit advantageevans.com to get immediate access to resources and our session schedule for 2022. Before we hop into the ep, please take a moment to follow this podcast and then like, share, and comment so that others who would benefit from this content can find it. Okay, it's time to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I am so very excited to round out this year of 2021 and all of the episodes to welcome someone who I've wanted to talk to, have this conversation with on Tech Intersect for a long time, Sian Morson, to the show. Sian is the ultimate multi-hyphenate, an entrepreneur, author, investor, producer, and someone who's also a visionary, thought leader, and educator in the creative and collectible NFT space. And Sian publishes the BlkChain, launched in March 2021 with the goal of amplifying the voices of women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ artists and collectors in the NFT space. And since its founding, the vision has actually expanded. And it's expanded to include building the largest collection of BIPOC digital art anywhere, IRL, or I guess I should say metaverse.
Yeah.
And we will talk about all of that and more in a moment. But first, Sian, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It is so wonderful to be here, Tanya. I listen to the podcast all the time, and I'm just honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Your voice is such an important and impactful one, and it has certainly been for me and clearly for our community. And so, I look forward to sharing this with, selfishly, it's really for me, but evidently thousands of other people will also benefit from this conversation. So I'm hype about that for sure. But before we dive in, we are still in the midst of the pandemonium, and we are persisting in spite of the thing that won't let us be. We are great, but it won't exactly let us be. And by us, I mean literally the world. So just how are you?
I am doing okay, considering I was, we're having pretty warm weather here in Austin, and I was out playing with some kids yesterday, and I made a wrong move, and there went my back.
Oh, Lord of mercy. You got to stretch.
Yeah, considering I am well. Last night was rough, but I'm doing well today. So I'm just grateful,
Good. Well, continued blessings to you and yours. And I'm glad that despite evidently the cartwheel that you did yesterday, I'm not quite sure that you lived to tell. So this is good. So let's start with your background and your experience, your education, your training in art, just generally before we dive into, crypto and collectible NFT space.
Well, I would say I started out being a creative. I went to school. I got my master's in electronic art. And I was making video art before I actually moved into the tech space. I think many people know me from being an entrepreneur and an investor, but before all that, I definitely had my sights on the creative world. I definitely wanted to be an artist or a creative at the very least. And I think that, I think I might have been, they say timing is everything. I might have been a little ahead of my time with the video stuff, because lots of people were just kind of like, how do we even collect this? Like, what girl, video art? And so, I did a hard pivot and went into technology and really became an entrepreneur, but it wasn't until this whole NFT thing happened that it really clicked for me. So I'm thankful that I had a start as a creative. And I think that what that did for me was really sort of put to bed this idea of you're either left brain or your right brain, I'm a Gemini. So I think I'm very flexible. I can do many things. And so I really leaned into that. And so, I started out as a creative and have always been a creative. And I think I applied that to my investing. I think I applied that to my entrepreneurship as well. And now kind of full circle with the BlkChain as well.
When you think about or explain the point of view that you have as an investor and entrepreneur writ large before I'm going to assume that whatever you were investing in and focused on before you entered the NFT space aligns, but I'm interested in your point of view. It's just the projects, the people that you have invested in and that you have a decided focus on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the creativity definitely is a thread. One of the companies I've invested in is Glow Up Games, and they're a female-run mobile development game studio, and they developed the Insecure game, and working on some fantastic things. So I think that as an investor, I've always been drawn to companies that sort of bridge the technical and the creative. And so I think that's definitely a thread for
Right.
sure. And I think, bringing the whole idea of a thesis as an investor into my collecting as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's definitely parallels there for sure. We are who we are, and we bring that kind of into everything that we do. So for sure.
Right. That definitely makes sense. That makes sense. And you're no stranger to technology, but what's your your rabbit hole moment for crypto? And did NFTs come before crypto, or did crypto come before NFTs?
Yeah. So NFTs definitely came before crypto.
Mm,
I think for a lot of us, it really started earlier in the year with Clubhouse and the
right.
pandemic and being locked in. I know that you're definitely an OG in the crypto space, so you got
I
it.
feel like I'm a new G. Is that a thing? A new G?
Let's make it a thing. I think that for me, my brother has been into crypto for quite some time, and he's always telling me about, Bitcoin this, and I'm definitely eating some humble pie these days. I'm hearing a lot of, if you had gotten in when I told you to get in, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But it just wasn't clicking for me, to be honest. I read the Satoshi white paper. It went completely over my head. I got the idea and the concept of digital money, but practical applications, it didn't make sense to me. It really didn't. And it wasn't until I started hearing, I was one of the first few people on Clubhouse, and being in the entrepreneurship and the VC space, all of those rooms were all about startups and pitching and VCs. And to be honest, I got tired of hearing that. I was like, I do not want to hear one more pitch today. But I certainly do remember the moment when that started to shift, right? Where we started to see these NFT rooms, and, it's like, what is this? What is this? And the conversations just, definitely piqued my interest. It was about art. It was about technology. It was about everything wrapped into each other. And I was certainly intrigued. And being in the middle of a pandemic and not really having anywhere to go,
Right.
it was fantastic. There was the novelty of being on a new app, and hearing a new conversation and learning. And those are all things that excite me, right? Something new, not having anywhere to go. It was audio only, so I could run around the house. I could tidy everything while I was listening. And so, I'm also an autodidact. So I learn on my own, right? I mean, school is great, but if I can just lean into learning something on my own, I can really pick it up. And so it was really a full circle moment for me, understanding that, hey, this NFT thing is a fantastic application for video art, right? Because you can attach the idea of provenance to it. You know that you're getting an original. I mean, all of those things just really sort of came together for me in that moment. And it was fantastic. I just, I dove in on the deep end, and I think I'm still there.
Yeah. I know what it looks like, because it looks like me, and you've not recovered yet. And I don't think there's any hope. It's like, save yourselves, it's too late for us.
Exactly.
And in fact, just join us.
Right.
Right. You're turning into your brother now in the world of
NFTs.
NFTs.
Man. Well, he's just kind of like, man, you in there.
I love it, because it is really that experience. Once the light bulbs begin to go off, and the reason that we describe it as, this rabbit hole experience is once that one pivotal moment where it's like, oh, the first light goes off. Of course, it leads to 10 other questions.
Oh, yes.
And each of those lead to 10 other questions. So there's no moment in time, even as an educator in the space, even someone who's developed an online certificate and my own online platform and doing all these speaking engagements, every day I immerse myself in the things that matter to me. I will never know all the things about all the things, right? But, taking a deep dive and connecting my expertise that I amassed over the intellectual property and entertainment, and also my love of creativity. I was known back in the day, in the 90s, as lawyer by day, poet by night. And I was doing Def Poetry Jam, and I was the first runner-up in Philly. And you know how you said earlier that you are slightly ahead of your time. I was one of the first people, because I have 2 books of poetry and a spoken word CD called
Oh, wow.
Shine. Yes. See, we had to have this conversation, and you all are benefiting from the fact that we are vibing. But I was one of the first people to have a multimedia book. My CD was on the inside back cover, affixed on the inside back cover of my book, because I love the written and spoken word, and some people are going to read it well off the page. Other people are going to receive it well orally. And I wanted to provide that multimedia experience. So
Oh, that's
cobbled,
fantastic.
cobbled together at the time, but ahead of the curve. It was right at the time when ebooks were breaking. I hosted an educational opportunity, and Ex Libris, I believe, was the first ebook producer, very new, hungry, and we aligned, and the rest is like kind of history. But I say all that to say, once you fall down the rabbit hole, then you want to take others with you. And so I imagine that was some of the energy and the spirit behind the creation of the BlkChain. So the BlkChain is where culture meets crypto. So tell the good folks what the BlkChain is and why you thought it fit this year to start to publish the BlkChain.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
Well, as with anything, when I enter into a space, I'm looking for people that look like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking, we're humans are hardwired for connection, and all that good pattern matching stuff that we throw around in the VC world. It's really true. And so, being who I am, I was looking for other artists of color. I was looking for queer people. I didn't see very many. And coming from the world of entrepreneurship, you learn that if there's a void, there's a market, right? If there's a void, you fill it. And so that's just what I did. I just took the initiative, and I was on the one-off Discord server. That was one-off was certainly, I think for a lot of us, we all met in that one-off Discord. It was the only place to connect with people of color really in the space at the time. And I remember chatting and saying, I'm thinking of just doing like a little newsletter, just like highlighting, artists that are doing really great stuff in the space. And it was really selfish, because it was like, I want to see this, and I want to see artists that I like. So it's all about me, but I know it will resonate with someone else. And it certainly did. And I literally just was poking around Twitter, and it's, I like this, bookmark, drop it in a newsletter format, write a little bit about it, and off I went. I had no massive plan for it other than just that, highlighting people of color in the space. And what I realized very quickly was that resonated with a lot of people.
Right.
And, it was like, well, you started this thing, you can't stop now.
You're like, but I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that it was like, "Ooh, is it Friday already?"
Right, exactly.
So, I certainly had to become a little more organized and about pulling it together, about pulling the content together, about really thinking through some of that stuff. But it was just really fun. And it really started to resonate with other people in the community who really wanted to discover artists. But it was really wonderful to see how the artists themselves responded to it, right? Because no one else was highlighting them. And I wasn't doing it as a favor. These are really talented people who deserve recognition. And the way that they really responded to it just really warmed my heart. And so I was like, look, I got to continue with this. So then I built out a website and started to do more features and started to feature collectors as well as artists. And, it just really snowballed from there. Whenever I was able to collect the work of specific artists that I was highlighting, I went ahead and did that. And I thought to myself, look, we've got the Blackstonian or the Smithsonian Museum of African American art. We've got, Moad in San Francisco. We've got the Studio Museum. We've got all of these physical, wonderful collections of Black art.
Right.
Why are we not doing it here too? And so that sort of led me to the second goal of the BlkChain, which is to create the largest collection of Black and BIPOC art, digital art,
Right.
on the planet. And I know it's audacious, but I believe that we are going to get there. I've got some wonderful initiatives that I'm planning for next year that I think are really going to lead into that. So yeah, that's the story of the BlkChain. I mean, at this point, I think we're almost at 10,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So it's, and trust me, I hear about it when an edition is late. It's like, girl, where's the newsletter?
Same.
It's coming. It's coming.
Right.
It's been a long week, but I wouldn't change it at all. It is fantastic, and I'm enjoying doing it. So, very thankful.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of Tech Intersect. Our conversation will continue in a moment, but first, a word on an exciting opportunity.
There's a more cost-effective and time-efficient way to reach your leading-edge learning and earning goals, to put you ahead of the stiff competition in this fast-paced, tech-driven economy. You need skills, credentials, and a fast track to a competitive advantage. You need it now more than ever, and I can help. The Advantage Evans method puts you ahead of the curve with condensed, comprehensive online courses, curated content to leverage your current skills and expertise, live coaching, networking opportunities, and more. Upcoming courses include From Cash to Crypto to help you buy your first Bitcoin, and there are 2 ways to get your advantage. Advantage Evans Encore gives you maximum experience for your total competitive advantage and access for 1 year. It includes a live welcome and modules on terminology, buying and selling, exchanges, mining, earning crypto, trading and investing, and also several of the legal issues you need to know in order to be safe and secure as you enter this space. That includes tax compliance, how to plan for a Bitcoin estate, and securities laws to make sure you avoid any legal unforced errors. Now, Advantage Core gives you the essentials. It's a short course to give you what you want and the support you need to buy your first crypto in as little as 3 weeks, with access to the information and replays for 3 months. And if you're not quite ready for your Advantage and want a sneak peek to try before you buy, then register for a free masterclass where I share my Crypto 101 success checklist and cover current hot topics in crypto. So there truly is something for everyone, including you, to get in on the fast track and learn and earn in the digital economy. Visit AdvantageEvans.com to get started. That's AdvantageEvans.com.
And now, back to the conversation.
It's a really important, tangible, kind of like not air quotes, a tangible amplification of the excellence of artists of color, of queer artists as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a perfect alignment with the benefits of the technology that reduces the barrier to entry and also to the connection between the artist, the collector, and the investor. Because there's, in the same way that there's this disruptive impact of blockchain technology and cryptographically secured assets on the finance side. We're seeing the same thing on the, in the art world, better than I, of all of the quote unquote intermediaries that stand between many artists, let alone those that are historically and systemically marginalized in the art world. So I imagine that is particularly important to you as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's just what's really validating about it. I mentioned that I started with just highlighting artists that I like.
Right.
But what's been wonderfully gratifying is to see those artists now are some of the top artists in the space, right? I remember the first time I saw Latasha's work.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Diana Sinclair's work. The first time I saw Andre O'Shea's work. I mean,
yes.
these guys are the leaders in the space now. And that is so wonderful. It's gratifying for me. I'm happy for them, but it also lets me know that, you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of talent in our community, and it's well deserved, and they're doing this outside of the traditional system, and that
Right.
is so wonderful about it. And on top of all of that, you add the addition of generational wealth and starting to you know what I mean? These are people who, some of them for the very first time, are making money from their
Right.
art. And that is so liberating and that is so empowering. I think we're at the precipice of something really amazing when we see the impact that these artists are going to have in the community moving forward too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes, out on this world wide web, it
Mm,
on one hand is like the embarrassment of riches, and then it's how to reasonably organize a space that resists organization in the
yes,
traditional sense,
yes,
right? So how do we collect in a way that still is authentic to the community, that is part and parcel of the crypto experience, in particular, its idea of being decentralized and
yeah.
grassroots up rather than top down. And I think that you are striking the right chord to amplify, but also honor
Mhm.
the space that lends itself better to community than and collaboration than to competition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, my personal mantra is just that the universe is abundant, and I think that there's enough for everyone. So I'm not competing with anyone. I certainly
Yes,
think that this space is so new too. There's room for everybody. Even if it seems like we're doing the same thing, we're not doing
right.
the same thing. And so I'm not in that frame of mind at all. And I think that
Hmm.
it's really important to me to stay in my lane, and I think my lane is amplification and education as well, but certainly not competition. you know,
Understood. Understood. And the universe is rewarding and blessing the experience, because you tease in at least one or two issues of the BlkChain about the growth that you are experiencing. So talk to us about where the BlkChain is going in 2022.
in 2022, I'm so excited to. I mean, I haven't really made a formal announcement. I think I might have I
Well,
might have
come on, we're
said
about breaking news. Let's
I might
go.
have said something to somebody. But yeah, so we're going to expand the BlkChain newsletter. We're going to do a music issue. We're
Mm,
also going to have film issues as well, just to be able to cover the breadth of everything
mm,
that's happening in the space. I firmly believe that we've not even scratched the surface of what NFTs can bring to music and quite frankly other art forms. And so
right.
I'm seeing a lot of movement in film and in music, and I want to really focus and honor and uplift those artists that are in that space as well. So we're
Hmm.
going to do a monthly music issue. We're going to do a monthly music newsletter as well, and a DeFi newsletter too.
Love it.
We are also going to be leaning into the educational aspect. My whole thought is that, the only way to support artists is to support artists, right? You can talk about it, you can write about it, but at the end of the day, if artists aren't selling their work, then you're not helping them. And so
Mm,
to that end, I think that part of the solution is really to onboard new collectors into the space. And I have so many friends in the VC space, in the tech space, who are watching what's happening with Web3. They want to get involved, but I can't really blame them. There's some aspects of it, like we've discussed at the top of the interview, that are prohibitive, right?
right.
We have been, for better or for worse, we are used to the ease of Web 2, right? We
Hmm.
want to be able to reset our passwords. We want to be able to do all this stuff. And some of that doesn't exist in Web 3. And so I think what's important is to potentially onboard collectors and creators at the same time, creating a very small cohort. And at
Right.
the end of that, collectors collect and artists get a sale, right? Everybody wins.
Right.
And so we're going to lean into some of those educational aspects of bringing people on board so that artists can sell their work. We're
Hmm.
going to ramp up our programming as well. So there's a lot planned. I actually have hired an assistant, which my therapist will be very
I
happy.
know that's right. Same. Same.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what's coming down the pike for the BlkChain. I think this stuff is really going to resonate, and we're looking to grow as well. So I'm excited.
That's really, really exciting. And, in that description of what is to come, you highlighted a lot of the opportunities for artists and collectors as you were speaking. what are some of the cautionary tales or some of the biggest or maybe more common mistakes that you see new entrants into? And now I'm speaking on the artist side, but I guess we could talk about the collector side as well. But maybe, you know, a couple of things that come to immediately to mind as you set your eye toward education and onboarding and navigating the NFT space for creators in particular. What are some of the common mistakes that you see them making that you hope to educate them about moving forward?
I think one of the biggest things when I talk to other creators in the space is it's really easy to forget that ETH is real money.
Talk about it. Let's go.
Right? And it's like, I mean, look, I've been guilty of it too, right? So if you got your pot of ETH, it's like funny money because you don't hold it in your pocket and you see something and it's like 0.5 ETH, but would you really spend this in real life? It's easy to forget that it is real money, and that's one of the first things that I talk to my collector friends that are moving into the space. Like, look, this is real money. You really have to think of it as such.
Right.
And for collectors especially, I don't want to beat the thesis idea into the ground, but I really think it's important to have some guardrails around what it is you want to collect. Know what you like, know what what draws you in, and maybe start there. Because
Right.
if you just are dropping in on a super rare or a foundation or even an open sea, my goodness, it's really easy to be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of artwork that exists, right? I think for a lot of people, they see the PFP stuff and this isn't really art. And, that's debatable. I'm not here to tell people what's art and what's not.
Right.
What I don't know if that's your gateway drug, then that's fine. But I just think it's really important to have that thesis in mind and understand that this is real money.
Right.
And then lastly, what we all know is super important is the security aspect of it. Right? I think that's one of the biggest aspects that I hear people are really afraid of. They're like, what is this? I hear people are getting scammed left and right. And I was like, well, yeah, people are getting scammed left and right. And one of the wonderful things about blockchain is the transparency of it. Right. But it's also one of the worst things is that you can see the wallet that scammed you and see where all of your
mocking you. Right.
No, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So it's really about personal responsibility, right? And that's what I try to impress on people. And that goes for both artists and collectors. It's like, it's really down to you in a way that it hasn't been before. Like I said, people are really used to in Web 2 having some level of, somebody that you can complain to, right? This thing went wrong. I want my money back. That doesn't exist yet on Web 3. And I think that that's going to be a tough lesson for a lot of people who are entering the space to learn. So it's really important just to be careful.
If you're an engineer or a scientist, you love Formula One, you love cycling, you love learning about how new technologies are changing the world around us, then I thought you may want to listen into my new podcast, the Neil Ashton Podcast. We talk to leading engineers and scientists from around the world, hear about their life stories, hear about new technologies, and hopefully educate you and give you a better sense of how key things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, supercomputing are changing the world around us. If that sounds like it's something you might like, you should come and have a listen.
It's really important. This idea, I mean, it truly is a mindset shift to really have ownership, sovereignty.
Yes.
I'm in the middle, or this is day 2 of 7 days of exploring crypto. I created this email short course to run during Kwanzaa, right? And today we focused on self-determination and reimagining your relationship with wallets and how wallets have evolved over time and a diversification of wallets and also what that looks like. Brave has a really interesting built-in wallet that they now have that doesn't require an extension because so many wallet extensions were getting hacked as well and concerns around that. So, we talked at the top of this episode about just staying in this information. This space moves at a meteoric pace.
Yes.
It's super exciting, but it requires you literally have to do your own research and also do your own research about the places where you check in to get your information. Because
I think it's really, I think you touched on something really important there. It's important to stay present in this
Yes.
space because it's so easy to get that link in your DMs of Discord and click on it. Like
Right.
that happened to me. I saw something, it came through. Logically, if I were paying attention, I wouldn't have even, I would have just deleted it. But I looked at it and I was gonna click the link. And I was like,
Right.
Sean, really?
You're like, pump the brakes, pump the brakes.
Yeah, and I thought about it and I read it and I was like, yeah, this probably is not what I think it is. Let me go ahead and delete this. But if you're not being present, you can really, really get yourself into some trouble. So I think that's a really, really good lesson. And I love that you're framing it around Kwanzaa too.
Yes, yes. There's so much power. I did this Medium article at the beginning of this year, and I've been thinking about it over all these months. It came out on January. I'll drop a link in the show notes. Came out on January 1st of 2021. And I had conversations with a bunch of Black thought leaders in the crypto space about what the various Kwanzaa principles from the Ngozi Saba, what that meant to them, right? From unity and self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, faith, creativity, and I feel like I'm forgetting ones. But the idea is, or the point is well made, that there is this really interesting alignment between Kwanzaa principles and the original ethos and spirit of cypherpunks, even though these are completely disparate communities.
Yeah.
Right? But underneath it is a distrust of traditional organizations and governments and big business and doing things on your own through your community. Right? There's a lot of that self-determination in it. And
absolutely.
So I love that. So I've been playing with it over the months and also trying to create a number of different learning opportunities, from the high-end white glove onboarding service for folks who don't necessarily have time to do even an on-demand course or a cohort. They just want me to help them do it, like set up all the things.
Yes.
I can only do, just whatever you said, just do those things, right? I'm not taking a course, but I want to get in, right? So we have those folks, but I can only do a few of those a year, given my own schedule. So then I have the courses, and they are what they are, and they cost what they cost. I'm not doing free master classes anymore, but I'm doing real low cost, low hanging fruit for somebody to do something. Maybe an hour later, at least they have a wallet and they purchased crypto for the first time. And then maybe the next one is another hour where they have something in Cash App. How the hell do they get it off, and where do they keep it, and how do they keep it safe? Right. So like the little breadcrumbs is what I'm focused on in 2022, because I do want everybody to win in a way that my therapist will allow, so that I too am not losing it, because I feel like our therapists talk to each other and they have a plan for us. Right. But we need to all get this information. We need to all win. This is when you talked about reparations, and can we create that environment for ourselves? Yes, plenty of folks owe us things, but in the interim, we're also going to create. We are creative people, and we have this opportunity now based upon technology, but it's a mindset shift to be in control of your own stuff.
Exactly. It comes with a whole new set of responsibilities. So
yes. Yeah. Well, I see that we are very close to time, that I have to lovingly release you back into the world so that you can go be great.
I was just getting started.
I know. It's amazing. This is a first of many conversations. I feel like there are more opportunities in 2022 and beyond for us to partnership on some things too. So
definitely,
let's say like once a quarter, we should be checking in.
I love it.
So tell folks how they can connect with you and learn more about your work, and everything that you mentioned I will include in the show notes.
You can connect with me on Twitter. That is where I spend way too much time.
Let's go.
I am Sian Morson on Twitter at Sian Morson, SIAN MORSON. You can follow me there. You can also follow the BlkChain. It is the BlkChain. So you can follow the BlkChain. We are just building out our Discord community. Welcome to join us there. You can also subscribe to the newsletter right from our Twitter profile. So that's something that I would love for everyone who's listening, who found any value in this conversation, please join the conversation on Twitter, subscribe to the newsletter. And if you have any feedback at all on the newsletter, all you need to do is respond back to the newsletter. It comes directly to me, and I'm open to any suggestions on artists to feature or anything of the sort. Happy to engage with people in that way.
Sian, this has been an absolute delight. You were already my extreme and extraordinary friend in the Twitter streets, in the Twitterverse, and consider me on your fan club for sure. And anytime I can amplify what you're doing and participate and support what you're doing, I'm happy to do so. I've learned a lot from you, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Tanya, thank you so much for having me. I hope that you will join us for when we start our programming. I would love to have you on to talk a little more about and share all of your expertise with the audience, but just so grateful that you are in this space as well. And thank you for sharing your platform. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Sian, for such a fun and informative episode. Time definitely flew. And also, thank you for helping me say goodbye to 2021, the longest and yet shortest year that ever yeared. And hello to 2022. I claim that there are better days ahead. Be safe, leave people, places, and things better than you found them, and be good to yourself and others. Look, the future of work, wealth, and creativity is bright, and it exists at the intersection of tech, business, and law. Thank you for listening and for supporting this little podcast that could. In just under 100 episodes, we've already grown 4x in just 1 year, and that's because of you. And in just 4 episodes, I'll be celebrating the 100th episode of Tech Intersect with some very, very, very special guests. So be sure to subscribe and tune in. Now, before we sign off, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this episode and this podcast with your networks. Follow me on social medias and let me know what topics you'd like to hear more of and who you want to hear from. All right, that's all for this episode. Until next time, continue to shine.
Stay in touch with host Tanya Evans via your favorite social media. On Twitter at Tech Intersect, and on Instagram via the handle Tech Intersect. This podcast has been produced by Stephanie Renee for Soul Sanctuary Incorporated.